Now we want to go back to that sad news that we've been covering all day. 2 children shot and killed, 17 others hurt after a shooting at a school in Minneapolis.
Now, our reporter Courtney Godfrey from our sister station in Minneapolis joining us live.
Good evening, Caroline. Tragic day here in Minneapolis. This entire state is reeling right now with this news, especially as many children return to school this week. All the public schools returning next week. We're seeing community members come down here placing flowers, offering prayer, leaving notes. As you mentioned, an 8- and 10-year-old shot today. They were in their pews at their school mass when the gunfire opened. When first responders arrived, they say that those 2 children were dead at the scene. There were 14 other children who were injured in the shooting, ages 6 to 15, and 3 parishioners in their 80s as well. Minneapolis police are identifying the shooter as 23-year-old Robin Westman, an individual who has no previous criminal history, according to police. They say it was just before 8:30 this morning when Westman started shooting through a window at the side of the church. Police say the shooter used 3 different firearms to carry out the act, and they believe Westman acted alone, dying of a self-inflicted gunshot wound at the scene. Students describing how they hit the floor of the pews to seek shelter, saying while they had practiced active shooter drills in the school, they were not prepared for something happening at the church.
We just got into the pews and he shot through the stained glass windows. And then my friend, he was like laying on top of me, like making sure I was safe, and he got hit. So that was really brave of him.
These were Minneapolis families. These were American families. And the amount of pain that they are suffering right now is extraordinary. And don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying.
The school confirming to us today that the individual, the shooter, his mother worked at Annunciation Catholic School for some time. She retired back in 2021. Police say they are aware of a manifesto that the individual left behind, but that they are not confirming any motive tonight, and that they worked with the FBI to get that manifesto taken down as quickly as possible. We're also aware that several search warrants are being executed across the city tonight, including one here at the church and the school, but obviously a terrifying, horrific, heartbreaking moment for all of us here in Minnesota tonight.
Courtney, thank you for that live report.
The FBI says it's investigating the attack at a Minnesota Catholic church as an act of domestic terrorism. 2 children died, and police say the number of injured students has climbed to 15.
Fox's Kennedy Hayes is live outside that church in Minneapolis. And Kennedy, do we know any more about why, in fact, this all would have happened to students at an all-school mass?
Caroline and Rashi, well, the FBI is investigating this as a hate crime, and police are still searching for a motive, but we did learn some disturbing new details about this suspect. We know he was obsessed with mass shootings, and he wanted to gain fame from this attack. I'm going to step aside to show you where I am now. This is the scene of where the shooting occurred, and for this community, there is a long road of grieving and healing ahead. This is also where the tragedy unfolded yesterday when a shooter opened fire through the windows of this Catholic church, killing 2 children ages 8 and 10. As you can see, a growing memorial for those victims. And just a short time ago, a father of a victim spoke in front of this church, identifying his son, that 8-year-old, as Fletcher. The 10-year-old has not yet been named, but this afternoon, officials also shared some more disturbing details about the attack and the shooter's mindset.
The shooter wanted to kill children, defenseless children. The shooter was obsessed with the idea of killing children. The shooter saw the attack as a way to target our most vulnerable among us while they were at their most vulnerable at school and at church.
Last night, more than 1,000 people came out to honor the victims. The injured students range in age from 6 to 15. Health officials say another child was hospitalized today but is expected to be okay. 3 adult worshipers were also injured in the attack. One student said a classmate took a bullet to shield his friend. Investigators say the suspect was a former student at the school and his mom once worked there. Court records from Dakota County, Minnesota show the suspect, a then 17-year-old called Robert Westman, was granted a name change to Robin in 2019, with the court writing, quote, minor child identifies as a female. Police say the shooter used a rifle, shotgun, and pistol, firing dozens of rounds from outside the church before committing suicide. Overnight, FBI agents executed search warrants at the suspect's home and vehicle, recovering more weapons. The FBI says they found multiple anti-religious references on those guns. They also removed a manifesto the suspect posted on YouTube. Now, police also confirm the suspect tried to barricade people inside this church behind me, and they say if it weren't for the doors being locked in this church behind me, it could have been a lot worse. And we know Minnesota Governor Tim Walz says he's also going to be increasing police presence around the entire state for the next few months. Caroline, Rashi.
Just a terrible situation there. Thank you for that live report.
Abigail, thank you. And tonight, a follow-up to a disturbing case that went viral in Houston and all across the country for that matter yesterday. We're talking about David E. Taylor. He was arrested and accused of using a church as a cover-up for human trafficking and money laundering. Fox 26's Sherman DeSalle broke the story and has been gathering more information.
Michelle Brannon, listed as the executive director of David E. Taylor's Kingdom of God Global Church, appeared in federal court Thursday. Several locations affiliated with the organization, including the JMMI building in North Houston, were raided simultaneously by the FBI Wednesday. Sources tell Fox 26 people found in some of these locations were in need of medical care and refused it. Gospel artist Vicky Yohe posted a video online shortly after the arrest. In her book, she says she dated Taylor for some time and tried to expose his crimes in the past.
Today was a victory for those who had no voice or who were afraid to expose the truth. They get to wake up from their nightmare like I did several years ago.
The new court documents reveal potential fraud and major labor abuse. Alleged text messages to victims in the case reveal Taylor and Brannon demanded them to apply for government-funded EBT cards. They would then use those funds to purchase food for the staff. There were also times when staff would not eat or sleep if they didn't raise enough money for the organization. A September 2021 text reads, "Make sure no one eats until these numbers change. If they don't, you'll work until 4 a.m. Tell everyone they are not eating." In that same month, purchases were made for lavish items and expensive food, $10,000 worth of king crab legs.
And that's the type of evidence, if the government has that evidence and has some of the people who are going to testify, that's the type of evidence you just don't get, you don't run away from.
Isn't this the same guy who was facing some issues over his finances just 10 years ago? He was deposed. It went viral. You know, everybody was wondering then. So a lot of people are wondering what would make it different now with him trying to fight this in court.
You know, money allegations when you're raising money as a church is a little bit different than when you've got people coming in and saying, I couldn't leave and I was forced to take Plan B. And this is the type of stuff that you just can't wash that off.
So Trinico goes on to say the amount that they're accused of collecting, over $50 million, won't be taken lightly in court either.
All right, so Sherman's here at the desk with me now. You spoke to someone because this raid didn't happen just here in Houston, nope. Multiple different states, including Michigan. Mm-hmm. So now you had a chance to speak to someone in Detroit who was actually worried that their former spouse was in the church here in Houston.
That's right. They have family not too far away from Detroit. So they chose not to speak on camera, but their story is similar to a lot of people in this case. People would leave their spouses to work for the church. They wouldn't have much contact with them. They would beg them to leave or to seek help. And we're looking at some serious claims of abuse and manipulation here.
Very in-depth story. Sherman, thank you so much, man. He's the one that broke this story. He's been all over it now for the last 2 days, so we appreciate your work.
No problem.
Authorities say women were targeted at 2 different parks, one in Oak Forest, another in Spring, and now officers are stepping up their patrols. Fox 26's Jillian Hartman is joining us live at Shepherd Park, where there were 2 attacks within 2 days here, Jillian.
That's right. It's really scary. So a man attacked 2 women here at Shepherd Park, and some parents tell me this is very concerning because this park is right next to an elementary school and in a neighborhood, and authorities tell us they are doing everything they can to track down this guy, and they have a message for the attacker.
Obviously, this person's pretty brazen, and I can tell my message to him is we're going to catch you. And you better stay away from this park and stay away from trying to harm anybody.
Harris County deputies are increasing patrols at Shepherd Park and Oak Forest after back-to-back attacks. Constable for Precinct 1, Alan Rosen, says on Wednesday around 9:30 a.m., authorities say a man grabbed a woman's forearm, tried to get her towards some trees. She yelled fire to draw attention, and the man took off.
I just want the public to be aware, anytime somebody that's willing to attack somebody in the open, broad daylight, there's a real cause for concern.
The next day on Thursday around 11:30 a.m., deputies say the man tried to pull a woman into the brush. A bystander chased him away. Now Constable Rosen is warning others.
If you're going to walk in the park, we hope that you keep at least one earbud out if you're listening to music so you can hear what's happening in and around you. If you can, walk in pairs. Have a friend. Walk with a friend. Don't walk by yourself.
Meanwhile, in a separate case, Precinct 4 is investigating a scary incident at Meyer Park in Spring. A woman called authorities around 7 p.m. Thursday and said a man allegedly came out of the woods and exposed himself while she was walking on one of the trails. Deputies are now doing extra patrols at Meyer Park as well while they look for the suspect. Now, people in this community tell me that a lot of families use this park. It's typically very safe, and they hope that authorities catch this guy soon. Authorities don't have a good description of the attacker here at Shepherd Park because he was covered up. As for the Meyer Park incident, they say the suspect is believed to be a Hispanic man, ages 20 to 25, and he was wearing a black hat and a black backpack. Anyone with information, call authorities, and if you see anything suspicious, make sure to report it. Reporting live, I'm Jillian Hartman, Fox 26 News.
In other news, a local business owner is facing charges for allegedly impersonating a Houston social media influencer.
He is also accused of using artificial intelligence to create dozens of nude images of her. Sally Mack joins us here in studio with this developing story. Sally, we have actually featured him here on our station.
Yes, multiple times on the Isaiah Factor Uncensored. Now, the woman says this man right here, Jorge Abrego, has damaged her finances and her reputation. He is the co-owner of HTX Tactical, and Isaiah has interviewed Abrego several times in recent years about gun-related topics. In fact, this video is just from a few months ago in May, but now he's the one facing 2 charges: online impersonation and unlawful production of sexually explicit content. According to court documents, Abrego created fake TikTok accounts of this local woman using very subtle variations of her username. The woman's real account has about 90,000 TikTok followers and 300,000 Instagram followers, and she uses her influence to promote businesses around Houston. She's told investigators that she's never posted nude images of herself, but on the fake accounts that Abrego allegedly used, he used her real face to create more than 50 nude pictures and videos that she says she never posed for. Now, the court documents say Abrego admitted creating multiple TikTok accounts impersonating her. Also, quote, he advised he knew it was harming her and may lead to financial loss. The investigator pointed out that some of these AI videos made the victim appear to be engaged in sexual conduct. Now, it's unclear from the court docs if the woman and Abrego had ever met, but she told investigators that he was in love with her and wanted to date her and, became obsessed with her, is what she says. Abrego has bonded out and is due in court at any moment. moment now. HTX Tactical, by the way, sent a statement saying these allegations don't reflect the company's values and they are cooperating with law enforcement. But Delana and Melissa, these allegations, I mean, you can see how humiliating it would be and how damaging it would be to somebody's reputation, somebody's way of making money. She was, again, a social media influencer who promoted businesses around town and says she didn't have this type of content on her social media that he's alleged to have created.
It would be so devastating to be in the middle of something like that. You just try to put yourself in her shoes. It's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, and we've covered a lot of when it comes to deep fakes for sure, and people may not realize how serious that can be.
Yeah.
They are.
Boy, it's a very serious crime.
Yes,
It's a
so
wake-up
he's, again, 2 charges, one's a felony, one's a misdemeanor, and he's out on bond, and we'll have to see the next step here in court today.
All right, we'll see. Sally, thank you.
A retired grandmother almost lost, I said almost lost $23,000 in a very elaborate scheme involving Wells Fargo Bank. She got her money back, though, after Fox 26's Randy Wallace got involved.
You recently retired.
I did.
You got grandkids to play with now.
I do.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm excited.
What's not great is what Lori Kimball says happened on April 29th. She got a phone call and she says Wells Fargo appeared on her caller ID.
She said, it looks like we may have some fraud going on. I said, oh no.
She's telling you things, charges that you did make.
I did, and I thought she knows my account, so I figured she was authentic. We're gonna come to your house and take the card and cut it up right in front of you. And she said, then we take it.
How quickly did she show up?
Right away. She was barely off the phone, the caller, and there was a knock at the door. I told her, I said, this is so sad, these things that are happening to people, they're stealing their money. And she said, yeah, but aren't you glad that we're catching them? And she looked me straight in the eye and said that. So that,
and she was the thief.
She was.
You recognized her from our previous report, long brown hair?
I did. She was on the, I guess the person's ring, and I thought that's exactly her, 100%.
Just a couple hours after our interview, they tell you you're getting your $23,000 back.
He did. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think all of your help and everything, and it's just, I can't even believe it. It seems so surreal. It just does. Makes me want to cry.
Hey, I'm glad you got your money back.
Thank you so much. Oh my
You're
gosh,
welcome.
you have no idea.
You're so welcome.
No
You're
idea.
so welcome. Now, there's still an ongoing police investigation into Lori's case and the other cases that we've highlighted. And remember, if your bank calls, don't answer it, call back. Randy Wallace, Fox 26 News.
And only on Fox tonight, a disturbing burglary inside of a family's apartment in Southwest Houston.
This is crazy. A mother says that a man was caught on video breaking into her place and stealing everything from her refrigerator. Fox 26's Jillian Hartman live outside the Woodscape Apartments on South Gessner near Bissonnet, where this happened. Jillian.
Yeah, just imagine waking up to a stranger inside your kitchen, stealing all your food, all while your teenage kids are sleeping in the next room. That's exactly what a mother tells me happened inside her apartment here, and it was all caught on video. A terrifying situation inside a family's home at the Woodscape Apartments. The family shared these surveillance videos. The mom says around 7 in the morning on Sunday, a man broke in through the back door, walked straight to her kitchen, disabled her security cameras before loading up a shopping cart with food. The mom says she and her twin daughters were asleep until she heard a noise.
When I got up, I opened the door and a man about 32 years old came up to me. I saw him standing there with a shopping cart full of things, and he was carrying a bag of chips in his hand. I stood there when he was there, and he tried to turn around and throw the cart at me. When I asked him, "Who told you to take my things?" Because he took absolutely everything from the fridge. He took everything. He even took a speaker. The TV had already been dismounted, and he took my Roku. He even took the dish rags that I use. He took everything, everything. The fridge was empty. So when I asked him, "Why are you taking my things? Who sent you to take my things?" He said, "No one told me," and he threw the cart and ran.
Houston police say they got a call about the burglary along South Gesner Road. They say the suspect is believed to be a Hispanic man in his mid-20s to 30s. We blurred the man's face in the video because he has not been charged yet. The mother tells me she does not know the man and got emotional describing how he tried to open the door to her daughter's room, but thankfully it was locked.
I don't know why. When I saw that man, his face looked so evil, so strange. I wasn't scared at the moment because the door was already open and he had already seen me. I couldn't just fall back. But at the same time, when he left, I was terrified. I am terrified that he went to my daughter's room. My neighbor told me that she saw him peek into their room and that he opened the door, then grabbed the card and came back inside.
Right now, Houston police is looking for the suspect in this case. Anyone with information is encouraged to call HPD. Now, in the meantime, the family tells me that they have installed already new surveillance cameras and hope this man is caught soon. Reporting live, I'm Jillian Hartman, Fox 26 News.
Good evening and thanks for joining me. I'm Anthony Antoine. Now to your news at 6. Well, Houston police took a top 10 most wanted fugitive off the streets. His name, John Dixon, and he's accused of shooting his neighbor while he and his younger brother were burying their family pet. Fox 26's Jonathan Mejia has been on this story from the beginning. He's joining us now live. And Jonathan, you spoke to the victim and his family. What do they have to say?
That's right, Anthony. Well, the Menchaca family tells me that they want to see the criminal justice system do its job, and they do not want to see John Martin Dixon out of jail.
I feel a tad bit sense of relief, but in all honesty, to clear up everything, I feel numb. I can't feel joy. As I mentioned earlier, none of this should have happened to begin with.
John Dixon was wanted for allegedly shooting his neighbors, Emmanuel Menchaca and his younger brother, while they were burying their pet guinea pig. The reason for the shooting is still unknown. Dixon is now charged with aggravated assault, and District Attorney Sean Tier says Dixon could face a maximum of 20 years in prison.
I asked the district attorney to really see this case thoroughly, to give, my boys the justice that they deserve, give this person, the charges that he needs to face.
You typically try to ensure that you have the best charge and the best case before you get it into the court system. And so that was really what happened here. We needed to ensure that we had ballistics, because eyewitness testimony is very important and wonderful, but you always want to be able to corroborate it with physical evidence.
The shooting took place July 17th, but a warrant for Dixon's arrest wasn't filed until August 9th, leaving the Menchaca family with more questions than answers.
We were able to make sure that we had the strongest case we could have before we charged and went forward. And so that's the real message. It's too slow. It is always too slow for our victims and our survivors, but we've also got to balance that with making sure that we have cases that we can file and go forward with.
Well, now I feel like I don't have to worry about if he's still out there, if he's still going to come back, or if he's living next door next to my family. Now I feel like I could trust, the people that are dealing with this case.
All right, Jonathan, so we know Emmanuel, he had plans, to move on with his life and go to San Antonio, hopefully start college. So is that still the plan, or have things changed now because of this incident?
Yeah, so that's part of the plan. He moved to San Antonio, but instead of starting in the fall, he has to start now in the spring. And he's attending a community college out there in San Antonio because he's part of a program where if he makes all B's his first year, he'll get into UT San Antonio. And he tells me that he wants to get into business as a career move. Reporting live out here in downtown, Jonathan Mejia, Fox 26 News.
First at noon, 2 Precinct 4 deputy constables are in the hospital after they were hit by a suspected drunk driver. They were responding to a call about a pedestrian early this morning on the Beltway. Fox 26's Jade Fleury has the latest.
The deputies who were injured in that early morning crash were just simply trying to do their job by helping a man who was walking along the freeway. They had blocked off the shoulder lane and one lane of the beltway and put that man in the back of the patrol unit. And moments later, that is when that suspected drunk driver slammed into them. Deputies responded to the call around 4 this morning about that man walking along the beltway. While they were working the scene and outside of their patrol units, the alleged drunk driver slammed into them and those multiple units. The man deputies were trying to help was inside of that patrol car, and the suspected drunk driver also had a passenger inside the car with them. One of them was treated at the scene. The driver was arrested at the scene, and officials say he did show signs of intoxication.
In today's time, there's no excuse to be driving drunk. So you can call an Uber, you can call a Lyft, you can call a friend. There's ways you can do it and not get in trouble, yet every day people are driving drunk on the freeways and on the streets and even in our neighborhoods.
At last check, the deputies were being treated for serious leg, hip, and head injuries. We also know that that suspected drunk driver was taken to the hospital to get his blood drawn. Reporting from the Texas Medical Center, Jade Fleury, Fox 26 News.
Well, new video here tonight that shows the man accused of recording people inside of a bathroom at the hospital in the Woodlands leaving the Montgomery County Jail. Investigators say there are at least 7 victims connected to Robert Schrader. Here's Fox 26's Abigail Dye with the debrief.
The now fired Memorial Hermann employee, who's accused of putting hidden cameras in 2 of the Woodlands hospital bathrooms, is facing even more charges. Robert Schrader was a patient care director, according to his now deleted LinkedIn. He was arrested on Wednesday for 1 count of invasive visual recording.
Okay, sir. So you are charged with 6 new charges.
That makes 7 total counts that he's facing now, because 7 victims have been identified. Records say that Schrader was caught on one of those cameras while installing it on August 21st. And when investigators looked at the SD card in that camera, they found 177 images. They say that they found another SD card in Schrader's desk at the hospital, and they found 131 images on that SD card, and they haven't even analyzed all of this data yet. Now, here's the information you want. Where were the cameras located? Documents say that the first camera was located on the 2nd floor of the West Tower across from the labor and delivery area. Now, this was a restroom that was used just by nurses. That second camera was found on the 3rd floor of the West Tower in the surgical unit, and this restroom was open to the public. Schrader is charged. He's not convicted, so he is considered innocent until proven guilty. I'm going to call his defense attorney, Brian Foley, to try to get his side of the story. He wouldn't give me a recorded statement, but he did send me this statement that you can read in full on this story online. But he told me that the DA hasn't given him much information. He explained that Schrader doesn't have a criminal history, and he gave us this photo saying he thinks it better reflects who Schrader is and was before the mugshot was taken. Now, Schrader did post his bond, and he's out of jail at this point. And the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, they say that these cameras could have been installed earlier this year. They're not sure at this point, but if you think you're a victim, reach out to the Sheriff's Office. For Fox 26 News, I'm Abigail Dye.
We begin with some sad news. An 11-year-old boy who was playing the ding-dong ditch game last night with friends has now died after he was shot several times. Let's go to Fox 26's Abigail Dye, who is live with the latest details. Abby.
Tom, I'm here on the corner of Mimbro and Fidelity where officers say this happened. And like you said, police say this kid was playing Ding Dong Ditch. It's a very common game that kids play. They ring a doorbell and then they run. Harmless. They say that at 11:30 last night, a man in the house right here behind me came out of the home and started shooting at these kids after they rang his doorbell as they were running away. That 11-year-old boy, he was hit. He was taken to the hospital overnight, and this afternoon, police had a very sad update.
An update came in at 2 o'clock this afternoon from the hospital saying the young boy had died from the gunshot wound. So homicide was notified, and we come out to the scene and collectively trying to collect as much evidence as we can. We have identified a possible suspect in the shooting. And we're still talking to a witness one of the witnesses also was talking to him still. So, and we brought CSU here. And so we're right now in the process of systematically doing a search warrant on the house. Inside the house, we did find weapons in the house.
During that search warrant, officers say that they found multiple weapons inside of this house. Now, all of this information is very preliminary, and officers are getting a lot of their information from one witness. They say that witness says they saw a man come out of the house and began firing as those children were running away. And officers tell us that they do not have a positive ID on that suspect at this time, but he is currently detained, and they haven't identified the victim in this either. But of course, as we continue to get more information, we'll bring it straight to you. For Fox 26 News, I'm Abigail Dye.